Well, Jordan, it's a beautiful day here in Southern California.
Yeah, it's super nice outside.
Yeah, no. Great day to be in the garage doing projects on your Tacoma.
Yep.
We're kicking it off with starting the transformation of this vehicle. What's the plan?
So today we're going to do the hard mounted GMRS. That way we're not carrying around a handheld and using the one cup holder that we have.
Okay.
We're going to do an oil change because we don't know the past vehicle history on this. We're going to try to clear up the paint a little bit, and then just a few odds and ends.
Okay, well, I think it'll be fun. We're no professionals at doing paint.
Not at all.
But we'll figure it out and see if we can't make this a little better. Let's get started.
Yeah.
It's raining.
The right time. When we first got this 2015 Toyota Tacoma, we agreed the mud flaps and side steps needed to go, and that was reinforced by our first off-road outing. Those mud flaps don't like it though.
No.
Oh, there's a mud flap.
Dad.
Yeah. So I think we've been talking about this all day, and of course I get behind the wheel. And all right, well, the good news is you only got 3 more to take off. Let's keep going, dude. So, time to say goodbye to the rest of these. Jordan, you got this.
First up is to get rid of these mud flaps. They might have a small practical purpose, but on the trails they're just going to get ripped off with how low they hang. Plus, in my personal opinion, they just don't look that great. Thankfully, these plastic mud flaps should be pretty easy to take off. Each one is only held in by 3 push pins and 2 bolts. Should be a really easy first modification to make. Now that we're just taking these off the truck, it makes you wonder, were these an option someone paid extra for back in 2015? Alright, so I just finished taking off those ugly mud flaps. Now I'm going to be taking off these plastic side steps because, I mean, they're really just plastic. They're not offering any protection, and everyone in my family's tall, so we don't need a step to get in. We plan on putting something more substantial there in the future, and while I'm doing that, my dad's going to try to figure out how to put the radio in. These side steps have very little value in offering protection while we're out on the trail. Plus, being 6'4", I don't really need a step to get in. We haven't quite decided what aftermarket sliders we'll be installing, but keeping the weight down while still offering protection is the main goal. Taking these off is super simple. It's only held in by 3 bolts on each side, but remember when you take the last bolt out, having someone there to hold it for you is really helpful. Depending on what aftermarket sliders we get, we might need to stock bolts. So to keep the holes closed off, to keep all the water and mud out, and so we know exactly where those bolts are, I'm just going to put them back in.
Jordan, that was quick, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just taking off all this old nasty plastic, this thing looks way better. It also looks taller, and I really like it.
Yeah, it looks good. But come on, give me a hand with this radio.
Okay.
Having good communications when you're out on your adventures is essential, and for the Tacoma, we are installing a Midland GMRS MXT 275 radio, the Midland 3dB ghost antenna, and a diamond mount. I will leave a link down below at TrailRecon.com where you can pick up the radio and the antenna. Now you can get by with having a handheld GMRS radio, but with a hard-mounted one like this, you don't have to worry about recharging batteries every day since it has constant 12-volt power from the vehicle, and transmission and reception will be much greater with the exterior mounted antenna. But first, Jordan needs to figure out where he wants it mounted. We discussed and considered several options, but the small space under the dash in the center console seemed like the cleanest and most out-of-the-way spot. Now we just got to figure out where do we want to put the microphone. Now that we've figured out our mounting placement, I need to figure out how to route the radio power, ground, and antenna wires. There's a nice large grommet in the firewall just above the driver's footwell that seems like it should work. I just need to cut a small hole in here so I can pass the wires through. We've decided to mount the antenna on the hood of the Tacoma, so this access hole is also in the perfect spot. Now that we've got all the wires through that grommet, it's time to route them up to the center console. Be careful here. You don't want any of these wires running on any sharp edges or on the brakes or the accelerator. It's important to take your time. And just a little quick tip here. I have a 3-foot long zip tie that I use that helps to run wires through small spaces like this. It works really well. Now we've got to drill a hole in the console to make access for those wires. And I'm going to use a step down bit and only make the hole as big as it needs to be to get those wires through. Now I know this sometimes freaks folks out. They don't really like drilling holes in all this plastic. But honestly, if you do this nice and clean, if you decide to make a change later on, it's easy to patch this up and you will barely notice it. Now to grab our wire strippers and crimpers, get this thing connected, and then we will sort out where to put that antenna. With the wiring inside complete, it's time to make our connections to the battery. But this terminal is really corroded, so it's time to break out the wire brush and give this thing a good cleaning. And I think maybe next time I will wear some gloves. All right, with everything cleaned up, our connections made, it's time to mount the antenna and take care of a couple other small little mounting details, and then let's give this radio a test and see how she works.
Radio check. How do you read me? Over.
Oh, I can hear you. This is cool.
Yeah, right on. No more handheld for you, buddy.
Yeah, this is a nice upgrade. Next up is a small but very practical upgrade, and that's a phone mount. We're installing an off-row mount, but we're going to utilize the 67 Designs arm and phone holder. The off-row mount attaches to the air vent, and although this has some great reviews, I'm actually a little concerned on how well this will actually hold up. But here it goes. Their mount simply fits in the small portion in the upper air vent, and there are 2 Allen bolts that are tightened down to secure it into place. Then, I attached the 67 Designs arm and phone mount, and these utilize a 20mm ball, so these pair together very well. And that's it, a super easy install. I was a little bit worried about how well it would hold, being that it is attached to the plastic, but I actually really like it. It holds my phone very securely and right where I want it.
Well, it's been 4 days since we've been in the garage.
Yeah.
We've fast forwarded in time through the magic of camera, but you have military obligations that you have to do, so we're not going to be able to just be in here every day like we want. So we knocked out a few things, got a couple more things to do today. What's the plan?
So first we're going to start with the oil change. Funny thing is I know how to do an oil change. I've just never done one without you being there.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to switch that up today.
Yeah, I'm leaving you all on your own. In fact, I got something else I'm going to go work on. So you take care of the oil change all by yourself, and then holler at me, and we'll wrap up the last 2 things. Hopefully we can get all 3 of these things done today.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
I don't need my dad's help to do an oil change. I got this. No problem. Well, except for one big problem. But I'll talk about that here in just a second. Doing an oil change yourself saves you a chunk of change, but it also allows you to get to know your vehicle better. And it's a good excuse to pop the hood and inspect the engine bay and climb underneath and have a good look around the underside. Is anyone noticing anything about the color of the oil? It's coming out a little bit red. Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
Alright, so just finished draining the engine oil. Just going to check the dipstick, make sure I got everything out. A little bit on there, just wipe it off, and we'll check again real quick. Okay, still some on there. Huh. I might have messed up. Maybe that wasn't the engine.
So there's still oil on the dipstick, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Was it purple coming out?
No, it was like brownish red.
Okay.
I mean, I was just so focused on setting up the cameras by myself for the first time. I saw a plug and I pulled it, and
All right. It's an honest mistake. I've never made it, but it's an honest mistake. Well, it wasn't on the list to change the transmission fluid.
no.
But I guess we're doing that today. I don't have any transmission fluid, so you might as well just go ahead and drain the oil. Then we can go dump the canister and then and grab some transmission fluids.
Yeah. At least we'll know the transmission fluid's good for a while.
Now we'll know it's good.
So, after kicking my dad out of the garage, I looked underneath, found the correct oil pan this time, and pulled the plug. Yep, that's the color of the engine oil I was looking for. Then, after running to the auto parts store to grab some unexpected transmission fluid, I used a small hand pump to refill the transmission and get back to where I started. Now that the hiccup with the transmission is all sorted out, it's time to get back to where I started, and that's changing the oil filter and the engine oil. We have no idea when the last time this truck had an oil change was, so it's peace of mind knowing that while we're out on the trail, all the maintenance is up to date. Plus, we know the transmission fluid is good for the next several thousand miles.
Okay, well, we're back in the garage after a couple days.
A couple weeks.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
We're picking away at it a little by little. Today, we're going to tackle the roof. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're actually going to be able to fix it or not, but I mean, it's worth a try.
Yeah, I've got some rubbing compound and we've got some wax and we've got the little polisher here and we're just going to give it a go. You think it's just some clear coat coming off, right?
From the YouTube videos I could find, it sounds like the clear coat's just like delaminating.
Yeah,
so.
and if that's the case, this may not have a lot of effect. The wax might make it look better.
It might.
But we'll see. But worst case scenario, if this doesn't work today, what are you thinking?
So if we can't make it like any better, probably either paint the roof or maybe wrap the roof black, just like a vinyl on it.
Or wrap the entire truck, right?
Could wrap the entire truck, yeah.
We got options.
Yeah.
But today we're going to give this a go. And then we got a couple other small things to do. So I've taped it off and I'll start on the first half. And if it totally destroys it and ruins it and makes it worse, well, no harm, no foul. Guys, we are not professional vehicle detailers. Let's just, I should make that announcement now.
Okay, here's the deal. We mentioned we are not totally optimistic about this, but if anything, we will be removing some of the particles and contaminants that have built up on the paint over the years, and at least be putting a fresh coat of wax on the roof. I'm sure that some of you professional auto detailers out there already know what the outcome is, but let's just see how this goes. I used a mild cutting pad and some mild cutting and buffing compound. I didn't want to get too aggressive with anything here, just didn't want to cause any more problems.
Is it looking better?
Feel the difference. Yeah, it's definitely better. I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe one more time here and then get some wax on it, but you can definitely see and, more importantly, can really feel the difference.
I worked in small areas, was sure to keep the buffer moving as to not create any friction or heat in a single area, and just started working the roof. I spent about 30 minutes on one half of this and applied a good coat of wax and buffed it off, and yeah, well, it's kind of what we expected. The surface of the paint is much smoother and there is now a nice shiny gloss to the roof, but you can still see the damage to the clear coat. It was worth a little bit of effort. We put in about an hour's worth of work here, but this is not a solution. However, I did give Jordan an opportunity to knock out the other half because it was just good practice for him doing this kind of work. The good news is that while we didn't fix this, only having put in an hour's worth of work, we did make it look much better. So we feel good about it.
Too many badges is something I think a lot of car manufacturers assume everyone likes, but I think a little simplicity is better. So I'm going to be taking off the V6 and the Toyota emblem off the back. This is a very easy process. After doing a little research to make sure there were no pins that went directly into the body panel, used a heat gun to heat up the adhesive that was holding it together, and then getting the trusty 12-pound fishing line, sliding it in between, working it back and forth to separate the emblem from the body. There's no need to try to pry these off with a screwdriver or pry tool to risk damaging the paint. This is the easiest way that me and my dad know how to do it. Now, some adhesive remover and a little elbow grease and we're all good to go. Looks much better, although maybe some black Tacoma badges on the back and the sides might be good. I don't know, I'm just not a huge fan of the chrome.
Well, it's been several days in the garage over a couple weeks.
Yep.
Got a lot accomplished.
Yeah.
Mud flaps, side steps. Pretty happy with the way it looks.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. Just those small details made a huge difference.
Right, exactly. I think it looks like a great truck now. Radio?
Radio, yep, GMRS.
What do you think about it?
It's nice to not have a handheld, but it's picking up a lot of extra traffic.
Yeah, it is. You're going to have good reception with that, unfortunately. So good that you are going to get some of that. But when you're out on the trail, when in remote areas, no worries. But it's nice not having to worry about a battery handheld anymore. Yeah. Paint?
Paint, yeah. I mean, it looks a lot better. It didn't completely fix the issue with the clear coat, but at least it probably gave it like a nice protective layer.
Yeah, I think we did a 32.5% improvement on it.
Very specific.
Yeah. It looks better, but I think we knew going in that we probably weren't going to fix it. But at least now the paint is protected. And I think actually the rest of the truck could use it, a good waxing and buffing. So that'll be on your to-do list. Then we got rid of a couple of the badges.
Yep, just a few badges in the back. Yeah, cleans it up a little bit.
So the truck's coming along.
Yeah.
We also changed the oil and the transmission fluid.
It was just preventative maintenance, so I mean.
Well, at least now we know they're both done.
Yep.
Yeah. We do have behind us on the board a pretty long list. But this was just some of the small stuff that we got to get out of the way. Now we're going to actually start getting into some of the bigger stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of just preparing it for what's to come.
Yeah, so we got a lot of projects. This truck's going to transform quite a bit over the next couple of months. I'm pretty excited. You ready?
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
All right, well this is going to be a great build. Guys, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot of great content coming both here in the garage and out on the trail. If you haven't been over to TrailRecon.com, make sure you visit us over there. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video.